Good afternoon, everybody. So I am the designer of Phoenix Point and also the designer of the original XCOM games back from the 1990s. Just an initial question, who here has actually played the very original XCOM UFO? Oh, a lot of people. That's a lot. Okay. Well, that's great. That's great. No pressure. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about that game, of course, and a little bit about the new XCOM, a little bit about Phoenix Point, and how the whole genre has evolved. But I'm also going to show you the demo that we got here, the little preview of the tactical skirmish mission for Phoenix Point. So, Phoenix Point is an XCOM-style game, which I'm sure is not a surprise to almost everybody. It has turn-based tactical battles. This is the core of the gameplay. And it has a strategy layer which is set on planet Earth, which is somewhat reminiscent of the original XCOM UFO with a rotating, spinny globe. You can zoom in, you've got bases. Your bases can be attacked, you can attack other bases, and so on. This is a very early sort of prototype of our strategic layer. I'm not going to talk very much about this, because I'm going to focus more on the tactical side. But one thing I will say about it is that you have an element of exploration in this game where you have to seek out other factions, alien structures, and so on. There's a resource management aspect to it. And one of the things about this game is that there are 3 different factions in the game which are also competing against you as a player. You represent the Phoenix Project, which is an organization which has been researching this alien threat, which is a mutating virus which has taken over all of the oceans and has now transformed most of the human population into hideous mutants, who I'll introduce to you very shortly. And some of the design of this aspect of the game is very much based on some of the ideas in the original XCOM Apocalypse from 1997. Has anybody played that particular version of XCOM? Ah, amazing. I'm actually really surprised. So you'll find some interesting parallels between Phoenix Point strategy layer and also the XCOM sort of strategy layer, the XCOM Apocalypse strategy layer. So I'm going to actually introduce you to one of the factions that's in the game. It's a faction called New Jericho. They are a highly militarized organization with elite soldiers, elite fighting force. And it was founded by this guy, Tobias West, who was a billionaire, sort of arms manufacturer, mercenary type guy, the charismatic guru and leader of New Jericho. It's one of the factions that you will encounter in the game. And in this particular skirmish mission, you actually play as a squad of New Jericho soldiers. Now, the whole background to the mission that we've got here at the show today, you can read about in our little short story briefing, short story book. If you sign up for our mailing list, we'll get sent this automatically. So together with our writing team, Jonas Karatzis and Alan Stroud, we've been developing a very intricate and deep backstory for the whole game, for the factions, their leaders, all the havens, all of the alien types, and so on. So it's a very detailed and rich world. And if you're really interested in the fiction, our writing team has actually created many, many, many stories which will help explain to you the world of Phoenix Point. So, in the mission that I'm going to show to you, we have one of the New Jericho bases. It's called Fort Freiheit, and it's been under attack from aliens already. And you play a 4-man squad. Well, actually, it's 3 men and a woman, actually. You play a 4-person squad who've been affected by the alien virus, and they've been effectively sent on a suicide mission to help evacuate any remaining refugees from this base. So I'll just introduce you very briefly to some of the character classes that you can find in New Jericho. So each faction in the game has their own separate character classes, and you as a player, if you recruit soldiers from these factions, you will actually be able to incorporate those new character classes into your own organization. So New Jericho, they have a standard assault, standard grunt guy. He's got a very standard loadout, but he's very, very agile. He can make extra moves, which is assault dash. He's got return fire, so highly agile weapons can be used to return fire against any attack by an enemy during battle. You can use that to great effect. Beyond the basic abilities, assault guys will specialize in grenades, grappling hooks, and other types of highly agile movement and so on, which you will find later in the game. But this is what we have in our mission today. Snipe is very obvious. There's an arm-piercing sniper rifle gun, hand kit, med kit. So one of his abilities is very interesting. He can actually specifically target the locations, body part locations on enemy aliens, which you can use to great effect because you can disable limbs and so on. I will demonstrate that shortly. So here we have the heavy infantry. So this is the actual elite character class of New Jericho, and they're very heavily armored. They have automated missile launcher systems, and they have a little rocket booster which gives them at least some mobility so they can jump large distances. The final character class which New Jericho have is called a Technician. This does not feature in our mission today, but this is one of the classes that New Jericho have. They have a very elaborate automated robotic arm system which is connected by neurally to your brain, which they use for healing serious injuries, repairing vehicles, very powerful melee strikes, hacking. They've also got automated gun turrets they can deploy and so on. New Jericho will also have lots of automated weapon systems which they can deploy. So it's just a brief introduction to some of the character classes in this particular faction. Some of their guns, which are all automated Gauss rifles. So here's one of the aliens you'll be facing. So this unfortunate mutated creature has something human in it. It's basically composed from alien DNA, various sea creature DNA, and human DNA. And the aliens are constantly evolving as you're fighting them. They have certain structures called nests and hives where they're constantly trying to generate new versions of themselves. When you encounter them in battle, you will have, they'll have different types of limbs. This one's got a powerful close combat crab claw and a shield, which is very well protected against attack. So this is like the brawler type character. The other character you're going to face in the mission is a gunner. So what they've done, these are actually quite intelligent creatures, by the way. So they've incorporated a standard like machine gun and fixed it to their arm. On the left, they have a grenade launcher. So these guys are quite deadly, but not very well armored. So we're going to face those. So what I'm going to do now is briefly show you the mission, and I'll explain some of the game design choices that we've made in the game and how they work, and maybe give you a few handy hints as how to defeat it, because unfortunately a lot of people who've been playing it around the corner and now stand there have experienced some difficulties, shall we say, in defeating the aliens, so I will give you a few handy hints. Okay, can we switch to the demo? So here's Fort Freiheit. You've just arrived on your in your armored car. The aliens have already attacked the base and committed lots of devastation. You have to go in and try and clear out what remains. So the first thing you see is probably this. Probably looks a little bit similar to the new XCOM games, the Firaxis games. But there are a few key differences, and I will explain those. So obviously you have a movement zone here, and you have an outer movement zone here. But you'll see that when I switch my weapon, that movement zone changes in difference. That's because there is an implicit sort of time unit or action point system in the game. I can move my guy a little bit here, I can move him a bit more, I can still shoot from his point. Now I can no longer shoot my machine gun if I move any further, but I can still move incrementally like this. So in this sense, it's quite reminiscent actually of the original XCOM game. I'm going to leave him there. Advance one of this is one of the assault guys, so he can move a bit. He has a more agile weapon, so he can move further while still shooting. So we spotted the first alien. It's a brawler. You may notice actually in the interface that you see some of these lines here that shows you where you've got a line of sight. I'm going to take a pot shot at this, see how it goes. It gives you an estimated damage readout. But one thing I will say and explain very clearly is that we have a more realistic ballistic system in this game, so each bullet has its own trajectory. Whatever it hits, it will damage. You can suffer from friendly fire, for example. In this case, we'll take destroyed his cover, which is good, done a little bit of damage. Mustn't grumble about that, but these guys are actually quite heavily armored. So I think I'll try and bring up I'll bring up the other assault guy and take another shot. So this is quite a long range for your assault troopers to actually hit. You normally expect, so I've got a 54% chance to actually hit. No chance to actually kill it because it's a heavily armored crabman, but it's still going to do some damage. It's also caused some bleeding in the crabman, so if you get a seriously injured limb, this applies to the crabmen as well as the humans, you're going to suffer from bleeding. I'm going to bring up the sniper. So the sniper has obviously a much better chance to take this out. And it's estimating that I've got a 98% chance to kill him, so it's pretty good. So let's go for it. Okay, there we go. Scratch one crabman. So that's broadly how some of the realistic ballistics work in the game. I'm going to end my turn here. Let the aliens have a go. So the way that AI works in the game is actually quite similar to the original XCOM. Each of the aliens will do their own thing in a coordinated way. So these are crabman brawlers. They've got an ability to deploy their shield towards the enemy, and they are actually quite difficult to take out. So we've got one on the bridge here. What I'm going to do is actually set up some Overwatch. So obviously Overwatch is a very important part of the game. But one thing I will explain is one of the new systems we've got in the game is will points. So over here, it shows that my character has got 6 will points. Now, a whole bunch of actions, including Overwatch, actually cost will points to use. So I'm going to set Overwatch. You'll notice it's actually used up one of his will points there. I'm going to advance my other guys and set up some more Overwatch. So the reason I'm doing Overwatch, because if you see, if I try and take a pop shot at him. Oh, actually, I can't quite see him yet. He's still over the edge of the... Let's just set Overwatch there. I'll advance and set Overwatch here. And with my sniper, I'm not going to set Overwatch. I'm just going to rapidly advance. Okay, so let's see what the aliens do now. So he's jumping over the... Ah, he survived. That's bad news. Ooh. Oh dear. Got a bit of return fire going on. So another interesting thing about the game is it's much more physics-based simulation of what's going on. So I was able to actually overwatch him while he was jumping down from above. And that was actually a better way to attack him than trying to shoot him on the bridge, for example, in this case. Although I obviously got this assault guy too close. It's not a disaster. Actually, it is a slight disaster, as I can explain. So one of his limbs has now become disabled. See this little red thing here? And he can no longer use his assault rifle. I can still use my grenades, but I can't use any two-handed weapons. I'm also bleeding, so I'm going to use my med kit. I'm just going to run over here, heal myself. Now, unfortunately, because we don't have a technician in the squad, we can't actually heal injured limbs. So this poor, unfortunate assault guy is not going to be able to use his gun anymore. He will be able to throw his grenades. So in order to dispatch the crabman, I'll just show you an example of how it works. So here, his shield and his carapace are very heavily armored, but his fleshy bits are not. So I really want to try and take a shot from the side like this, which gives me a sort of good damage of 3 to 4. Let's see how it goes. Okay. So he's got 6 rounds of shooting. Taking from the side with the heavy. It's going to fire 12 rounds, and we're certainly going to kill it. Oh dear, he's chopped down the cliffside. That's great. So I'm just going to end my turn here. Oh, there's one hiding up there. That was not very nice. Somebody return fire from the assault class guy. Unfortunately, he's killed my other assault, which is not a good result. This is not a very a good example of how to play the game, by the way, but I'll just try to finish this guy off with my heavy. Okay, that'll do the trick. Now, at some point, there's going to be a big monster coming along, so I'll try and set up and prepare for that. I'll just set some Overwatch here first. Move up with my heavy. And shall I or shall I not advance a bit further? Yeah, you will go up to here. Okay, so my turn here. Now, some of the aliens have got guns, so we'll have a bit of shooting. They're not very good at shooting. Again, my assault guy can return fire. 3 shots, not so bad. I'm going to demonstrate some of the other abilities characters have. First, I'm going to actually advance my heavy into the base. Now, we have a fully destructible environment, as we're familiar from many other XCOM games. It's a big feature of the game. Also, buildings with multiple levels, and so on. You've got a guard tower, which you can get up to the top. I'm going to quickly advance with some of my guys here. And, ooh, we've got another crabman. Where is he? He's over there. So I'll just take a shot. So it's quite a long shot from my guy. Again, each shot, each individual bullet, taking him out. Very good. So let's just see where I am with the rest of my squads. Advance up here. I think I will advance around here. Oh dear, we've got another guy hiding out over there. So the big monster's going to come along soon. I'll just get ready for it. Unfortunately, the base is infested with crabmen. Disabled his head. He's bleeding. There's lots of them hiding around behind the bases. Right, so I'm just going to demonstrate another ability of the heavy here. I say he's got his rocket jump. This gives him a big strategic advantage. I can go quite a long way. Let's see if I can go on top. Yeah, I can go right on top of the control tower here. Let's try that. It's given me a good strategic point.
We're receiving your camera feed and confirming hostiles.
I've conquered the control room.
There's a big one coming. Get ready.
I'm just going to let's just check. I've also got a guard tower here, which is good for the sniper to get up. Let's see if we can get up to the top here. This is another objective, by the way. You get a will point boost when you reach some of these strategic objectives. So it's got +3 willpower.
It's only a matter of time before we're overrun. Let's go down like soldiers.
Spot some aliens over there, so I'm just going to end my turn. Oh no, let's just advance this guy out and try and take this alien out here. Close combat attack. Take him right in the head. He's already bleeding. Okay, that was easy. So one of the special abilities I've got from my assault guys, I can spend 2 will points to do an assault dash. Just gives him some extra movement beyond shooting. So let's just go around there. Okay. Right, so here's one of the monsters in the game. So we have a whole set of very large-scale monsters that will come and attack bases. And these are actually individual characters that persist from one mission to the next. Just wait for the crabman to... Oh, the crabman can jump. This is another annoying thing they can do. taken some damage there. Not playing very well. So the way the cover system works, basically cover is what you see is what you get. Anything that will block a bullet can act as cover. But you do have to be careful because some powerful bullets, particularly from sniper rifles, will penetrate walls and other light cover and damage anything behind it. Here she comes. She's literally smashing stuff to pieces here. So in order to fight the Queen, which is really quite a tough boss, you will need to use explosives. Probably quite a lot of them as well. I'll probably have to deal with some of these crabmen, so I do apologize for taking some damage from him. My goodness me. My goodness. Let me just figure out how best to deal with this one. Might be best to actually shoot him from not that one. Oh, that's the Queen. Okay, I need to get a bit closer. Oh, let's just check. Hold on. Okay. Let's just try it. That's taking that one out. Let's take this one out, yeah. To deal with the one closest to me. Okay, that'll do the trick. So I've also got grenades. I'll demonstrate the grenades as well. First I've really got to take this guy. So I'm going to get around the side of the crabman and try and get him in the face because, okay, that's a good shot. So he's deployed his shield in that direction, but it's not going to protect him. Oh, he's taken some damage, but not enough. I'm going to move again a little bit. Okay. So let's try and take a pot shot at the Queen. One thing, when you attack a large-scale monster, you automatically have to select a body part. Let's just take this one. There we go. So I'm going to try and shoot her in the head because she's got less armor there. So you'll notice that each part of the body has different amounts of armor. Abdomen's very heavily armored. These are the armor pips. I'll go for the head. 5 damage. And that's going to end my turn. Now, the unfortunate thing is my snipe is not actually in a very good position, as we'll find out very shortly. So, obviously I'm showing you this as an example how not to play the mission. So just bear in mind, you are not safe from the Queen by hiding on the guard tower. So I'm not going to play it to the end because I want to take some time for anybody to ask questions. I'm not going to humiliate myself by facing the defeat screen. Okay, that's enough. Too much to bear. But just to remind you, if you do want to play the game, we're just around the corner there. You can have a go on it. And when you do face the Queen, please use some explosives because that will reduce her armor, and then focus your shots on the head, especially with your machine gunner and your sniper, and you'll be fine. Okay, promise me. Okay, so we're going to go back to the presentation. So that's a brief example of a tactical mission. I hope, are we allowed to have some questions or not? Yeah, we can? Okay, so I'd be very happy to take any questions that you've got in the time remaining, which I'm not sure how much there is, but if anybody would like to ask a question, please.
So every shot matters, right?
Yes.
But the way health is represented, it feels like damage just appears, it's not affected by how the shots arrive. What made you decide
okay. Okay, so it's really how the damage system actually works is basically the question. So just to briefly explain it, so each character has a general hit points level, which is the bar you see, but then each body part also has its own hit points, which is reduced. So when you hit a character, you reduce hit points on the body part and on the general HP. if you reduce hit points on a body part to 0, it's disabled. But each body part can have its own individual armor level, so it makes a big difference. So you notice the Crabman with his shield, if you hit the shield, you're not going to do any damage with an ordinary gun. So it does make a big difference which body part you hit. And with the Sniper, you can target individual body parts which are weak and disable them. So this is another main factor in the damage system. So it is a more complex damage system than you can actually see, but we don't have all the interface there to show you exactly in detail how that works yet. There will be a detailed level where you can actually see exactly what a character has got, and but that's basically how it works. Okay, any other questions?
Hi there. Yeah, I've got a question about the inventory management at the beginning. We couldn't actually see that because we just saw the in-mission demo there. But what approach have you taken to that? I mean, is there a case, for example, I remember before one of the frustrating things might be going on a mission and realising you'd forgotten to pack your ammo or something like that.
Right.
I mean, how's that avoided? How do you handle that?
Right, so the inventory system, each character has their own loadout that you can set, and they will remember it, and they will try and replenish from stores what they had. This is actually the way it worked in XCOM Apocalypse, by the way. Not in the original XCOM, but it is how it works in XCOM Apocalypse. During battles, there will also be inventory management. There will be an inventory option. It's not in our current preview here. And that little weapon wheel that you see where you've got 3 different weapons, you can set those up from your inventory. So these are your ready weapons, your ready equipment, but you can actually carry a larger variety of stuff than that into battle. The limitation of what you can carry is primarily based on the weight, because if you start to carry too much, you'll be encumbered and slowed down, and also on the bulk. So the inventory management is a similar level of sophistication as some of the earlier games, but it was just easier for you to manage both in battle and in base as well.
Hi there. Obviously, when we play XCOM, one of the other things that we all get quite excited about is the research side of it. I haven't really seen much of it touched yet. Could you clarify how we go about the research, whether it's the same thing, and so forth?
Right, okay, yes, I can talk a long time about that, but I'll try and be brief. So you as a player start as a head of, sort of the remains of the Phoenix Project, which had its own research projects stretching back since the end of the Second World War. One of your first objectives is to find the other remaining bases of the Phoenix Project and recover some of their research archives. You can also conduct your own research directly on the aliens that you recover. Again, like the very original XCOM, if you capture corpses, and especially live aliens, you can do your own research. But the other thing which is different, though, is that each of the factions have their own research tree, and they pursue their own research objectives. And one thing you will need to do as a player is get some of that research that these other factions are doing. You can either steal it from them, literally by raiding their bases and going to the laboratories, or you can ally with them and they will share technology, you share technology with them. You can also help them progress their research tree, because actually there are 4 different endings to the game, so each of the 3 main factions has their own solution to the alien menace. And the Phoenix Project also has its own solution. So you sort of have to choose which direction you're going in terms of the research. And it's not just about recovering stuff, it's also about having some kind of diplomatic relationship with those other factions and sharing stuff with them or trading stuff with them, because that's the other thing you can do. So that's just a very brief overview of the research system, if that's okay.
Please give a warm thank you to Julian Gollop.
Thank you. Thank you.